Have you ever thought, what if I become a world-class storyteller? That's what these brands are doing, and they're outgrowing some of the biggest category leaders on social because of it. Because at the end of the day, the brands that tell the best stories win. And it seems like in 2025, brands finally started to notice this. Storyteller job postings doubled on LinkedIn. Everybody wants to hire a creative strategist, and they're all hot commodities, and even Google is trying to pay $275,000 for a storyteller. But here's what you need to know if you want to win with content in 2026. Distribution is the castle, storytelling is the moat, and content is the bridge. So in this video, you're gonna learn how to position your stories, segment your stories, craft engaging stories, develop non-stop ideas for stories, and lastly, how the fastest growing brands on social are telling their stories with a ton of examples. So by the end of this, you have a playbook to build your castle of distribution, create your moat, and create the best content within your category. By the way, I'm Alex Garcia. I own a creative studio called House of Distribution, where we work with multiple 8 to 10 figure brands, creating their social shows, creating their content strategies, and their larger campaigns for their product launches. So everything you're gonna see here is from me spending 10 years in the game, in the trenches, and creating and executing and navigating social. Understanding the importance of storytelling from a brand's lens. Every piece of content creates some kind of impression on the viewer. Compounded over time, those impressions create a narrative in somebody's head, which determines how they think about your brand, how they think about you and your products, how much they think you should cost, and most importantly, how they're gonna describe you to another person. And that perception is memory. And so as a brand, you need to tell a magnitude of magnificent stories to create the right perception and the right narrative in your viewer's head. Number 2 is how to position your stories so that the right person perceives that story the way it's intended to be perceived. And there's really 7 ways to be able to do this. Number 1, you're the hero in your journey. This is brands like Midday Squares, Bad Hombres, all bringing you along into their founder story and essentially inviting you into their journey. Number 2, you're the hero they're aiming to be. You can look at the Represents of the world, the BPNs of the world. They're all documenting and creating from this aspirational lens where people who wear the product, who take the product, aspire to be like them. Number 3, your customer is the hero. This is taking your customers and positioning them in a light where they had a problem and then they solved it. They're facing something and your brand is the thing that helped them get over that hurdle and to the other side. Number 4, you're creating the hero. This can be a fictional character. When you look at a brand like Late Checkout, they're always creating these fictional heroes within their campaigns. Number 5, your characters are the hero. Meaning if you have these influencers, creators, and athletes that you're building stories around, you can position the people that are the face of the brand as heroes that your audience and your customer base looks up to. Number 6, your product is the hero. This is understanding that customers face a specific problem and therefore your product is the bridge from a problem to a solution. Number 7, your team is the hero. If you're gonna be making any kind of employee generated content or encouraging your team to create content, you have to understand how to position your team as the hero within that content. And then taking these pillars, you can understand that there's 2 ways to do this. The nonfiction way is the more budget-friendly version way of doing this. It can be done on your iPhone, it can be done on DSLR, but it could also be done on a tight timeline. And now we're gonna go through all the brands that are telling their stories that are going viral on social. The first brand is Black Horse Lane. So Black Horse Lane has decisions and reasonings for the things that they do. For example, they never have a Black Friday. They always offer free repairs for life for their jeans. Those decisions, those reasons as to why they do what they do are the heart of their stories. They understand that, hey, there are gonna be people that align with this messaging. So therefore, if we can take our reasoning, we can now tell the story behind that decision, behind that reasoning. Number 2, you can take why you're different and package that into a story. This is canned goods clothing. And the main differentiator between them and other streetwear brands is they package their clothing into these cans to create an enemy, which is single-use packaging, like the other brands do. And by taking why they're different, they're able to position their story in a way that they attract the right people who care about the same things that they do. Sorry, just a quick break. I actually got all of these references, all these examples, all of these breakdowns, and I put them into a Notion link. If you want to download it, it's in the description. It's the first link. All right, keep enjoying the video. Then the next one is turning your customer questions and comments into content. Black Horse Lane does an amazing job of taking some of their frequently asked questions and turning them into content pieces. The next one, your transformation. So this is gonna be one of my favorite brands on social. The brand's called Sour Milk, and the founder quit her job at a private equity firm to create her company. And therefore, everything that changes, everything she learns along the way, every milestone, all of a sudden becomes a story that she's able to build around into content. Bad Hombres, which is a listener of our podcast, Sweat Equity, does an amazing job of this too. Their angle is very similar. They left a 9-to-5 corporate job to start this frozen bean and cheese burrito company. Very similarly, they've turned this transformation into an episodic series that has helped them amass hundreds of thousands of followers. But again, the key is taking your transformation, forming it, positioning it into a story that people could follow along. The next one, your team's POV. This girl is a creative director, therefore she's able to take the finalized product that she's creating on it every single day as part of her job into content by showcasing the behind the scenes, showcasing the development process through this 10-shot video like this. The next one, you can create stories around your enemy. Moisey Wash is one of my favorite examples of this. They've positioned themselves against all of the large laundry detergent companies that are essentially putting all of these chemicals into our laundry detergent and have taken multiple stabs at the fact that they have terrible ingredients, toxic ingredients, and use single-use plastic or single-use products. Then the next one, you can tell the story around your product and what somebody can do with it. This is probably one of my favorite accounts on Instagram, where they do nothing but cut these like incredible meats and show you how they're picking strawberries and cutting strawberries. But they sell knives and cutting boards and, ironically and for some reason, socks. Every piece of content that you consume from them and every piece of content that has gone viral from them is not them promoting the knife. It is them showing you how you can use it indirectly through the things and the stories that they're telling in this remote little village. The next one, your heritage. One of my favorite brands that does an amazing job of showing and amplifying their heritage is Aimé Leon Dior. Their family and their actual roots are from Greece, and so therefore they have a lot of campaigns, they have a lot of vignettes, and then you take the other side where they have a lot of influence from Teddy and him living in New York and playing basketball and being obsessed with 90s culture and 90s basketball. They highlight both and you can feel both in all of their content. The next one is creating a story around your numbers. Poor Boy Coffee created a vlog series called The Numbers, where he showcased the gross revenue that week and the number of coffee cups sold. And it was nothing more than him sitting in a chair, talking about the numbers, talking about what they're trying to improve, and looking forward to the next week. The next story you can tell is actually your story. One of my favorite examples right now on Instagram is Adelaide Bakes, and don't quote me if I said her name completely wrong, but Adelaide is someone that used to work for NASA. Now she bakes full time, and because of that, she actually felt like she was living two lives. Her positioning is, she is taking the story of her leaving her job at NASA, but taking that same amount of precision and obsession that she had to have for rockets to now bake the best goods possible. Chunky Fit Cookie, which is one of my good friends, Scott, very similar. They're telling their story of being these two guys who are both very muscular, and they're on their journey to build the next big protein cookie company. They showcase the entire story where they go from starting in their kitchens to then a ghost kitchen to now at a huge operating kitchen, getting into their first retailers. All of these micro stories that make up the macro story that we all want to follow along for. Next is your customers, and Pink's Windows is one of my favorite examples of doing this. They have a series that they do called Comp Cleans. Comp Cleans is they just go find a random customer and complimentary wash their windows. They're telling the story of, hey, this individual hasn't cleaned their windows in months, but also the story about how their services work and how good their services are. Then you can make stories about your experience. You can take the restaurant, Asteria Herenate, I probably butchered that. They form all of their stories around the experience, the ambiance, and how it would feel to dine in. They also then do a lot of content showcasing the process, how it's made in the kitchen, how much time their chefs are spending on a specific dish before then showcasing the final product. Then you can create stories around your lessons, and Softy's Burgers is probably one of my favorite examples of this online, where they're two dudes who started this burger company, and along the way they've gotten a lot bigger, but as they've gotten a lot bigger, they've encountered a lot of problems. Those hard-learned lessons are the core of the stories that they're telling on social, to the point where it is essentially reality TV. They're going through something, they're documenting it, and then they're showcasing and sharing that with the world. Money problems, growing pains, a piece of equipment breaking. It's really just looking and finding the story within your week, the story within your day, and crafting around that. A lot of the people that I just referenced are also building their company. They don't have a content team. They don't have a creative team to be able to take an idea, form the idea, and then just have the characters come in and execute the idea. Next is stories around your production. Loewe is one of my favorite examples of this. They're a very luxury brand, and they have this shirt that is made out of oranges. And in reality, that can either sound cheap or it can sound expensive. The only differentiator is going to be the story that you tell. If I am a nobody and I say, hey, this shirt is made of oranges, it just sounds like cheap material. But if I explain how meticulous this process is, how it takes hundreds of days or 50 different people to be able to produce this product, and I showcase all of the orange peels that we collect to be able to go through this process to come out the other end with this shirt, all of a sudden it becomes luxury just because of the story that was told. Then lastly, before we move into fiction, is your process. Lacoste does an amazing job of showcasing the polo that made them the brand that they are by showcasing the process in which it is made, how it's threaded, all of the machines, all of the fabrics that are used to develop the end product. Now we move into the fictional side. Typically with the fictional side, you're crafting a world, you're introducing characters, and there's a lot of more layers that make this more complex and not as budget friendly. How do we build a set? How do we build a world? What are ideas and narratives that we can create that put you into that world, that put you into that set, that put you into that feeling? But again, still amazing ways to tell these stories. Number one being, we're creating a series called Waterside Wisdom with this brand called Crafted. Older uncle with younger nephew, they play a game of chess. Over that game of chess, they talk business, they talk life. But at the end of the day, we are taking a series and we are creating these fictional characters and we are amplifying this story around life and business and advice, etc. The next way you can tell a story is by having a main character within your brand. And one of my favorite examples of this is Low House. Low House has this perception of like timeless art. And so they use this main character to be able to be this individual who spews wisdom. It is this fictional character that is playing his role within the brand's ecosystem. The third is you can develop characters. These are characters that aren't going to stay around forever. They come and go, but they're part of specific campaigns. They're part of specific chapters for the brand. Late Checkout is one of my favorite examples of this. Every time they launch a campaign, they center that campaign around one central character. Those are all characters that embody the brand, embody the values, embody the lifestyle of the brand, and help illustrate and create the perception that others need to have around the brand. When my team and I were working on the launch for Tier Maverick, which is a daily running shoe, we created this fictional character, which was a scientist who was locked away in some laboratory in the middle of Nevada with one singular goal of developing the perfect daily runner. And by doing so, we're able to introduce this fictional character as the main hero within this campaign, all the way down to the copy, the emails, the SMS, all came from his POV. Very similar, you could look at this series called The Rotorist Man, created by this company called Rotorist, where they created this fictional character to help illustrate and show the values of the type of individual that would wear this brand. Then lastly is Oldest Road. This is another company that we work with, and we were able to create this fictional character who is essentially a storyteller, who people are gonna latch on to, knowing when they see him, they know what they're getting out of that, which is these campfire stories. All of that to say, your story is the most important thing that you can put out in this world. It determines the narrative you create, it determines how people perceive you, and it determines the individuals that you reach. And therefore, going into 2026, there is no lack of stories. Look at your day, find the most interesting element within your day, package that into a story. I could look at my day and say, hey, I have nothing but meetings on my calendar today. Guess what? If I look at those meetings and then I say, all of my calls are centered around talking to a manufacturer because we can't find the right manufacturer, because our last one just bailed on us, all of a sudden I have this lesson that I can craft a very strong story around. So in 2026, know that the only thing that people can't copy is your stories and the stories you put out in the world.